Good morning. Welcome to Five Stones Podcast. On this side, Joe.
Good morning.
And Colin.
Good morning.
And I'm Raymond. Start out by saying I feel kind of bad that you guys are actually putting out some good content, Joe. I watched your podcast.
That's the idea.
And it's on our channel too, but it's What are you calling it?
I don't remember what I'm calling it. No,
Maybe I shouldn't have put you
Real Thoughts. It's actually Real Thoughts.
Real Thoughts.
Yeah.
And Colin, you put out a new one today. It's Mortgage.
1 minute. Yeah.
The Mortgage Minute. That's actually a good thing. I feel bad that I'm not putting anything out. So you guys get out of here.
3 minute abs. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I would specialize on. 3 minute abs.
My daughter did that the other day. She said, I've been doing sit-ups for 5 minutes and I don't have abs yet. 5 minutes.
They lied.
She saw the 5 minute ab YouTube commercial. I'm trying to put a 1 minute video out. I'm going to try to do that 4 days a week. The challenge, is anyone knows that does these things, is the consistency.
Yeah.
But I am committed to doing it.
That's
so
good.
1 minute. I figure I can summarize an idea or a thought or a product or a service or something in 1 minute, and that's about the time span of myself. So
I will tell you that I am not committed to 4 days a week, but I am committed to trying to do once a week. So we'll...
to produce a minute, it actually takes 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah. Even 1 minute.
You take a couple takes.
I will tell you that people think I should be committed, but I'm not.
Not yet.
Yes, not yet.
But it's just Monday. Before the end of the week, you might be in a straitjacket.
So I'd like to welcome everybody to the Monday following Thanksgiving. Not a lot going on over the last 5 or 6 days as far as the financial world. The Fed probably didn't do anything. The market was closed, obviously, Thursday, only opened till noon on Friday. So not a lot of activities going on from that standpoint.
A lot of cigar smoking, that was for sure. We did our fair share of that over the weekend.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what do you got today?
San Cristobal.
Oh, I like those.
It's
I've had
good.
those before.
I tried these out recently, and it is good. It's a good cigar.
I ran into a new one called Crux, C-R-U-X. It was given to me at the Las Vegas Big Smoke back in early November and had it. It was an excellent cigar. Unfortunately, it's so new that you were saying...
I found only one place in central Indiana, which, in case you didn't know, that's where we originate from. One place in central Indiana that is currently carrying it. So we may have to make a drive out there because now I'm interested in...
Yeah, I talked to the proprietor of our local store, and he said he had heard of it, but he didn't have it, and he might look into it. But
he actually said he might look into it?
He said he would.
You must have caught him on a good day, because generally...
It was still early. It was still early when I talked to him, so it was a good day. So I thought maybe we would just talk over some stuff that was going on in general right now. And I know one of the big things that you like to talk about is just the affordability.
That's still a challenge. We've got a lot of clients that are pre-approved out looking, and they just aren't happy with what they're seeing at the price point. So I don't know if they have been thinking about it for a year or two, and they are thinking what they could get 2 years ago. They think things are going to overnight come back to normal. But generally, affordability is a tough situation right now.
So I guess to finish my thought a minute ago, don't want to cut you off, I've still got the New World, AJ Fernandez New World. That's what I'm smoking.
That's what I'm smoking. Well, I have a new shipment on the way. I've got a new shipment that actually has a few that I've not tried before.
Yeah.
One of which, there's a new Excalibur. It's called like the Dark Knight 2, where it's like a double Maduro. So I'm going to give that a try. Yeah, I did too. So figured, we'll see what it's like.
More Maduro, the better.
Yeah.
Triple Maduro's got to be great, which there's a company that makes a triple Maduro. Wow. So that would be...
I like double Maduro. I like Maduro.
Well, doesn't Christoph, they have a triple Maduro with like
Christoph.
double the nicotine, and it's like the pissed off Christoph is what they call it.
Yeah.
Like you get double nicotine and triple Maduro, and then you go vomit in the corner, and then you go back and have your normal day.
I think smoking cigars is kind of like drinking coffee, is what I tell a lot of people. Usually when you start drinking coffee, you put sugar in it, you put some cream in it. And with cigars, a lot of people tend to start with the lighter, like Connecticut wrapper, the lighter cigars. Mm-hmm. But eventually you migrate after several weeks or months or years into straight black coffee, and so does your cigar palate.
Or you like quad shot venti mochas, which is a little chocolatey, but a quad shot.
I quit. I can't speak Starbucks.
You can't speak. Well.
So I have. That was the problem I always have. I always got embarrassed going into Starbucks, and I'd like a left-handed double espresso backflip.
Well, I have a 17-year-old daughter, so if I want to communicate with her, I have to speak Starbucks. Yeah. So
my wife and daughter enjoy Starbucks. I do not like it, but we drive through.
Actually, I drink a lot of Speedway. I think for the money and the price, Speedway coffee is, bar none, right now the best. So plus it's real easy. Black.
Yep.
Large.
Like you said, eventually you just want the leaded, give me the straight stuff, skip the foreplay.
And I've never been one of those. I'll drink coffee at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Doesn't seem to really keep me up. I know a guy the other day that said he and I had a cup of coffee about 10 o'clock at night. We were playing in a euchre tournament together, and he said he was up till 2 o'clock because of that. Doesn't seem to do that for me.
Nope.
I drink a pot in the morning and a pot in the evening.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me a bit.
It's funny, when I was younger and my grandparents, when I'd go to dinner with my grandparents, my grandfather would always order coffee for dinner.
Yeah.
Of course, I was ordering Coke at that time, and
Yeah.
I thought, how do you drink coffee with dinner? I have now found myself doing that.
I like it after dinner.
Yeah.
Instead of dessert, I like a nice coffee. Maybe a biscotti along with it.
As do I.
Really?
What is a biscotti?
I smoke with a...
Isn't
with a
that one of
pancake.
those high-end cars?
Yes, yeah, a biscotti. Zoom, zoom. Anyhow.
So you guys are very consistent with your smokes. Consistency was one of the things we were considering talking about today, right?
Yeah.
Just in business, the only consistent thing is there's nothing the same week after week. So every Monday morning, we almost have a regroup, like you were mentioning.
Yeah.
You regroup, you set your priorities, and see what kind of diversions come about throughout the week.
One of the things that the three of us do all the time is early in the morning, we all get to work at 7:30, 7:45, and we usually spend an hour doing nothing about talking about what we're going to do today. And then on Mondays, like this morning, it's always about what is this week. So it's like the big view of the week. And then each day in the morning, it's, okay, what do we got to do today to get to that big goal that we talked about during the week?
Well, it's like those weekly meetings that you see in corporate world. It's just a little bit less formal what we do. But it's getting together and making sure that we have the list ready to go and we have some direction for the week. Because we're all three of us tend to see something and pull, but we got to make sure that we're all pulling in the same direction so we don't just pull it apart. So that's always the best part of having those,
And it's always good to have a second or a third person.
Yep.
Because the problem, and I've read this before, and I'm not trying to be egotistical here or anything, but when you are, quote unquote, the top of the food chain, you don't have a peer to talk to about. And you see a lot of CEOs that's probably one of their biggest things is, okay, who do you call? Who do you call as the owner of a company? Who do you call as the owner of a company?
And then how many people are scared to even talk to them?
And that's the other thing you got to worry about is anybody that is, quote unquote, in your ranks. You don't want them to go, well, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
You don't need a cluster of yes men because you never get anything done.
So as the top, who do you talk to?
I consult Google frequently because we do the IT, we do the recruiting. I've got recruiting appointments this week. I've got real estate agent appointments. I've got all the hats on, and I don't have an IT department. I don't have, an expert in any. I've got a team of LOs and
Yeah.
and
And I think and we can actually direct this podcast to that. There's a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. E stands for entrepreneurial, that talks about people that are like good car mechanics. All of a sudden decide, well, I'll open a car mechanic shop because I'm the best car mechanic there is. And then they realize that there's hiring issues, there's marketing issues, all of these things that go with being the top of the food chain that you didn't have when you were the best car mechanic. And a lot of people will, branch out and go, oh, I cut hair, I've got a bunch of clients, I'm great, I'm going to open my own hair shop, and all of a sudden it fails. Yep. Because they forgot to realize, like you were saying, you've got 5 hats on. You've got 5 hats on. It's hard to switch. I'm doing recruiting flyers or recruiting, and then all of a sudden somebody calls and goes, hey, your website's down, or I can't do this on the site. Now you got to switch hats to the IT guy. If you are a small business and starting out, that can be a killer.
Prioritizing things is a challenge for me personally, because there's things that makes money, there's things that will make money next year, there's things that are important but not going to make you money you can't ignore.
Well, and then
all those things is tough for me to juggle and prioritize. So that's a challenge for me personally.
Well, I think the other difficulty is getting to that point where you're growing. So when do you decide to bring that next person in? Because you're going to have to bring that next person in to take over that role.
Yeah.
But if you do it too soon, it's not sustainable because you can't do it. But if you do it too late, your business may start dying. So there's like that happy period of...
It's akin, if you're a real estate agent out there and you want to start your own brokerage, this is probably what I consult with most real estate agents about starting their brokerage. There comes a time, like Joe's saying, where when do you decide to quit brokering and just be a manager? Because with 2 people under you, they're really not producing enough for you to live without you actually producing as well.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden you've got 20 under you that can never get a hold of you because you're actually out showing houses or at a closing, and you need to really think about pulling back. So it's kind of hard. How many agents do you need to bring in before you go, oh, I need to stop doing that? Now, thank goodness for me, I have surpassed that. I've gotten to that point with 50 agents now that I don't broker. But, that's a hard thing. Like I said, having 5 hats and you need to hire an IT guy. Well, is the business making enough money to hire an IT guy? And will it ever make enough money without the IT guy?
It's a challenge. I mean, it's that's the difficulty of growing a small business into. Well, especially if you're trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, just leave it. Who cares? I'll get back to him in a minute. Yep. The concern that I had with Real University, or not the concern, the problem that I had is I started Real University literally by myself.
Yeah.
I was the IT guy. I cobbled together a bunch of products. I recorded all the stuff. I talked to the students. I did all of that. And I built it that way to make a nice income for Raymond Modulin. The problem that I've spent now 5 years trying to convert that away from being known as Raymond Modulin to the actual school as a self-sustaining entity.
Yep.
We brought you on. We had a programmer at one time. We had an SEO guy. We've got a customer service rep. And now I'm very keen on telling people when they say something about, well, your school. And I tell them, I said, you understand it's not me. There's 5 of us running this school. All I really do is the guy in front of the camera now. You got Ian answering, you got you developing business. We had Nino writing the website. We got an SEO guy out of Columbus that's doing all the SEO stuff. That is what I've been trying to convince or create, so that eventually I want to step away, but I want the school to still be here.
Well, and
there
that's,
does need to be a person at the top with the vision of, the vision or the growth goal or the execute, somebody has to be at the top. But coordinating all those
Yeah.
things, it also becomes a challenge.
But I think the biggest thing that I think I'm trying to say is when someone starts a small business, they need to determine then, is this going to be a business that when I retire just goes away and it's made me, they call that
a lifestyle business.
a lifestyle business. Now I've heard rumors that term's going, but that's literally what
We
it
all
is.
know what the term means.
Is it, I made $100,000 a year, I retired and I'm done? Or is it going to be something that you want to live in perpetuity, to sell, to spin off to someone? Because if that's literally even an inkling in your mind, you better start doing that from the outset so that you can make it known that real university is the school. It's not Raymond.
In the first couple of years, I found myself feeling that often, like, okay, is it time to pivot? I'm getting a little overwhelmed. Or, one time we had maybe 12 or 14 LOs, and that was.
Yeah.
But I know all the feelings because you say, okay, I need to either learn Google Ads or I need to pay a couple $1,000 to a consultant and get that done.
Right.
And sometimes you feel at first like you want to learn it so you can save the money. And in the end, probably the right choice is not to be.
Well,
In Google Ads
everything.
case, it's one you don't want to learn.
well, what it does do is every time you decide to do it, you are saving money in that moment, but are you saving money in the long run? Because it's taking you away from something else that could be driving the business to create more.
And that's
So
always,
that's the catch.
there's the loss in that. When I was in the investing world, in the house investing world, there was an old idiom that investors used to tell you that the pen is mightier than the hammer. Because there were guys that would buy houses and then they're like, well, I'll save $2,000 and I'll go in and I'll be the one that paints the house or I'll be the one that rehabs it. And then there were investors that, no, hire somebody to do that as long as you're using those 2 hours to go find the next deal.
Yeah.
Because you make your money on the deal, not so much on the painting of the house. And that was their big thing was, the pen is mightier than the hammer. Don't be the one that did the quote-unquote day-to-day labor. Just set the deals up, and you had people working.
I'd rather have 4 sales at 15% than 1 at 21% because I saved a little money by doing the work myself.
Yeah, doing the work yourself. The key there is, and we had this discussion with one of your LOs that wanted an assistant, and I remember telling her, I said, that's a good idea. As long as the time she is saving you is time that you're actually producing a new loan and not going swimming at the ocean.
If you go from 4 to 7, it's worth it. If you stay at 4 and pay somebody to
buy
your 10 hours back,
yeah,
which is in the end, it's about time. And
yeah,
when the time gets limited, you have to decide if it's a value choice.
Well, at some point, you brought up the good point, buying your hours back. That is very crucial, especially. I would say the first 40 hours, I'm committed. The first 50, now if I'm buying back 60 through 50 hours, I'd be interested in buying those back.
Yes.
Because I know work is 40 hours, 50 or 55 for me,
Phones don't stop.
Yeah.
There's always some, and that's part of what we like about what we do. You have to like talking to people and solving problems and being out there to do what we do all the time. Because if you don't like it, if you don't like talking to people, this is definitely not what you need to be doing.
This particular one. But I know I sent you guys an email last night at 8 or 9 o'clock on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
So I was working.
Yeah.
Now I was at home doing something, but it was still that. So you got to learn when is that optimum time that you need to start bringing in. And I would say you need to bring them in before that time. If you're thinking now's the time, you probably should have been before that.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think we're probably on the cusp of that with where we are.
Oh, yeah.
We are right at that point where but where do you slot that person in? What part of the of the pie do you want them to take care of? Is it,
Well,
we need you to create content, or we need you to do more
Well,
sales, or we need you, you know?
I would say with Real University specifically, our big hang-up right now is a compliance officer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We now have 17 or 18 states that we have to report to, and that has turning into probably creating content's number one for me. That's the biggest time. Number two is right now this compliance reporting to the state of Florida, to the state of Texas, to the Utah and Montana. That person is probably the next one coming on board.
I agree.
And that looks, I thought it might be a couple hours a week, but the more I'm thinking about it, it looks like it could be a full-time job.
In our business, it's practically full-time.
Yeah.
I think that,
Well,
once
you've got
you
quarterly reports and that you have to submit and all that, so it's the same thing.
yeah, same thing.
Yeah, it's funny, you mentioned something earlier. I put on Chat GPT, I said, give me a schedule for a person that runs 5 businesses, emphasizing Real University being the main one. And it literally broke a 7-day schedule out for me and told me, it said, Company A, do this, Company B, what times of the day. The only thing I didn't like is it had me from 7:30 till 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, that son of a bitch is trying to make me work.
He's trying to say you have too many companies.
Yeah.
Well, where did they get the cigar time for you? Oh, they didn't build that.
I didn't put that in. So, we had a guy in here the other day that said he was at some wedding event and he smoked 3 cigars that evening, and I said, really? That sounds like a normal day.
Yeah.
Well, things change when you have kids too. I've got an 11-year-old, so I don't have sometimes all the same. I still put her to bed and then open the laptop and do things at night, but
I would say that's a big advantage to me. My youngest is 18. None of them really want to hang out with me anymore. So I did buy back a lot of time there.
Yeah.
At one point I had 4 under the age of 12. So it was rather hard at that point. Now they're all 18, 22, 21, 26. It's a lot easier to have those hours that you spend in the family time. And thank God my wife is actually very great at allowing me to do what I need to do. She does understand that. Now I will say, when we go on vacation, usually the vacation is absent of anything.
And it needs to be.
So that when I'm with her, I spend time with her. And I think that's a key part. And I tell a lot of agents that if you work 50 or 60, 70 hours a week to get started, that's great. But if you're trying to do it every week, you will burn yourself out. And I've got an agent that you guys know who I'm talking about.
oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, came out of the gate strong, was leading sales, did it for about a year and a half, and then virtually the last year and a half doesn't produce anything. He got burnt out by doing that. And I tell people, when I started, I used to take Wednesdays off. There was a lot of times where I would go to the movie with my wife at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday because I tried to shut down for one day. And I know that sounds opposite of what we're talking about, but if you spend too much time,
I think an individual needs to find something that pulls them through the difficulties, because I had a boss once when I was in the bank world. He said, take 1 week vacation every quarter and do something fun that you love to do, and that gets you through the months. January and February were brutal, but you knew March, I'm going to go to the beach or go to Las Vegas, and that powers you through the end. So you need something to look forward to and a break to get your mind right.
You definitely need that.
And
That's a good idea. I think I'll adhere to that.
Yeah,
1 a quarter.
1 vacation a quarter.
I told somebody if they could figure out a way to work for 2 days and be off 5.
Firefighters do it. Well, they work.
Nobody works harder than them. We had a guy in here last night that was a firefighter, and I told him, I said, I commend you because someone has to do it, but the thought of actually running into a burning building just doesn't seem smart to me. No, I'm glad he's doing it. I'm
Yes.
glad all the firefighters are out there that are doing it. I respect that. It's just the idea of thinking as you grow up. I see that.
Let's go in there.
That's
And that's
see
why
that
you're
fire?
not a
I wanna
firefighter.
go. That's why I'm not a firefighter. You know, it is definitely a labor of love, and they are very much needed. Much like the trash guy.
Yeah.
You know, that's the number one. They always ask, who's the most needed person? It's the guy that picks up my trash, because after a while, you definitely notice that. So
Yes.
all of those guys I commend, but running into a burning building does not seem like,
Does not come naturally.
would not come naturally.
You mentioned how wonderful your spouse is. I think that's important too. And when I started the business, I found myself, I'd be at home, but I would be thinking about
Yeah.
problems and absent from being present with my family and
Mentally absent.
mentally absent. I'm sitting there, but I'm looking at my phone or reading an email or thinking about a stressful appointment or something that happened, and I don't know. I was not fully prepared for that. We weren't.
Yeah.
That creates some challenges because it does not ever stop. If you
Huh.
work 8 or 10 hours, you go home. Maybe you ended the day with a stressful appointment or I don't know what to say. You just, and the family has to be ready for you to,
They do.
hey, I just ate dinner, but I got to go I got to go handle a phone call. I'll be out for 30 minutes.
And I think that's key, and I know your
I'm
wife.
very blessed with a very understanding wife that is also a very good sounding board. So if I need to talk about it, she's willing to listen
Yeah.
and talk and help me process through it. Very blessed with that.
All three
Yeah.
of us are fortunate.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a very important key if you're listening out there and you're thinking about starting a business. The family has to be on board. Now, I am sure you didn't talk to your 11-year-old daughter, but I meant that you got to kind of represent
Yeah.
her voice in your head as, hey, I still want to go to the mall, I still want to go to the movies, I still want to go, playground and play tennis, even though you probably didn't really ask her permission. But I get that. But I mean, as far as your spouse goes, it's funny, when I left yesterday to come to our event, I kind of felt bad, and I told my wife, I said, well, I got to go. I'm off to make money. That's what I told her.
Yeah.
So that, hey, you want to go to Florida? You want to go on that week vacation? I got to
This is
do
not-
this today
To make this happen.
to make that happen. So I guess as long as we keep giving them vacations, we're good.
All right.
I'll suffer through it and go with her to Florida.
Speaking of Florida, I think it would be bad if we didn't mention that officially Real University is live in the great state of Florida.
Yes, which presents more.
More
Compliance.
more compliance, more
More
challenge,
compliance.
but it is exciting.
Yes,
We are
so
growing.
you can now get your real estate license through Real University for the state of Florida. If you go on to realuniversity.com and just click course outline or course of catalog,
Yep.
choose Florida, we are live.
And our first course is when? January? Are we doing a live one in January?
Yeah, we do a live in January.
Live streaming, so doesn't matter where you're sitting. You
Yes.
can do it live
And get your Florida salesperson
from
license.
your laptop, from your phone, from your iPad, whatever.
Florida's
floats your
quite
boat.
the state. It is a competitive, busy state.
It is very competitive.
A lot of real estate agents, but there's a reason for that because it's if you've been there in the last few years, it is just booming. I mean, you know what I mean? It's summer all the time. It's busy. Home prices are driving up. Condos surround the entire state.
Yeah, filthy income tax is lower.
I mean, it's obvious what you said because we're also in Montana.
A little different.
Yes.
Not hot.
Not as many agents in Montana. Still business done there, but I
Yes.
mean, when you compare like Montana to New Jersey, the number of courses, or Florida, for example.
Well, I mean, there are over 200,000 real estate professionals in the state of Florida. Second only to California in this country right now, with the
Yeah.
amount of real estate professionals.
So they have 10% of all
of
the
all the agents
in one state.
in one state.
So it is very competitive state. And from the school standpoint, I mean, in Indiana, to my knowledge, there's only 9 of us in the entire state. There's probably 50 in the state of Florida. So it's going to be competitive just from the school point, because that plays into like what Joe's saying, there's 200,000 agents, whereas in Indiana, we only have about 66,000.
But the good news is we're the best.
We are the best.
We're the best.
Yes. Anything else?
I think it's about time to wrap it up.
Hey, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to our magic number of 500, so we're pleading for your help to get us to that 500 mark, and we're only about 400 away.
Only about 400 away, yeah. So we're still getting there.
So if you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. We put something out very consistently, the 3 of us do. Watch for his Mortgage Minute and watch for his Real Thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you, and invite you back next time.
Harumph.